and welcome to Open Up and Say Ha, stories from underneath the paper gown. We like to start every episode by talking about something interesting medically that we've learned, either about our own bodies or about the bodies of others. Julia, what you got for us today?
So I something happened to me that I took. Okay. Well, oh yeah. If you're a fan here, you've probably listened to Circling the Drain podcast, and you may or may not know that I am on menopause hormone therapy, or also known as HRT, hormone.
MHT, menopause
hormone therapy, or HRT, hormone replacement therapy, also
is what they used to call it.
Yeah, I was trying to say, couldn't get it together. Anyway, so I cycle through progesterone. I take it 14 days out of the month, and then I get my period, and then I go about my life, and then I take it 14 days or whatever. And those 14 days are basically like the nights that I sleep the best out of my entire month. Progesterone helps you sleep at night. It's one of the many things that it does for you. But anyway, this one night we were like watching a movie. It was like a Friday night or something. And lately I've been kind of forgetting to take it. And so it was like 7 p.m, and I was upstairs in the bathroom, and I was like, I'll just take it now so I don't forget to take it later at like 9 or 10 or 11, whenever I go to bed. And so I went ahead and took it, and we like ate dinner, and then we were watching a movie, and like halfway through the movie, I was like, I feel great. I was like, how you doing? And I was like, I feel amazing. And what I realized was that normally I'm asleep when that shit kicks in. And I just had to I was like, this is to testify and say that it really does work. And when you're awake, when it kicks in, holy fuck, it is. It's like taking Xanax. I was just like, dip-de-doo, what's up, husbo? Like, how you doing? How you doing over there? And he was just like, what is going on with you? And I was like, I feel great. And then I was like, I gotta go to bed. I'm tired, at like 9 o'clock. But lesson learned. I was like, all right, right on. I guess the shit is really working, people. So
you know what? On another time
Related.
we've talked,
Yeah.
you've mentioned I just wonder if you could can you like take it for other things? Like could you take it when you feel that PMDD coming on? Like
I'm already taking it. I
okay,
suppose,
right.
yeah, and I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a recommended thing to take during the day, because like the
Sure.
eventual outcome is sleep.
Falling asleep.
And if I took it during the day, it would just be like happy, and then dirt nap in the
And then
middle of the
out.
day. And I think that's a
Right.
terrible idea. I can't do that when I'm teaching.
Sure. This is why I'm not a doctor.
Same.
Not a doctor. Well,
What's yours,
in
Ellie? Tell me.
in my family,
Yeah.
you can take good care of your teeth, but sometimes if you're genetically
Yes.
predisposed to
Yes.
I'm just going to call it bad teeth, because
Yeah.
some people do all the things and their teeth give them problems.
Yeah.
My poor husband was having a toothache, and went to the dentist, and the dentist took a quick look at it and said, you've got something called resorption. And of course, my husband was like, this is a new word. What the fuck is that? And in layman's terms, resorption is basically the tissue of his tooth is eating itself. The tooth resorption, right? It's like absorbing its own self. The tooth is hungry. It doesn't get enough food. It's eating its own. That's not true. But basically, so they were like, so we think the way to fix this, excuse me, is a root canal. And you have to go to a special other root canal doctor. Makes the appointment. He goes to the root canal doctor that he's been to before. And thankfully, the root canal doctor is a real honest guy and took a deeper
dive
and a deeper dive and a look, and was like, oh, see all this? See all this darkness? See all this gray showing up? This is so sexy. My husband's gonna hate this. On this X-ray, this is beyond a root canal. You need this tooth out. I'm not gonna do this root canal. Go back to where you came from. And so now he's in the process of planning to have a tooth removed, a flipper put in, because then they have to wait for the tissue to heal before they can put a proper implant in. But it's so upsetting, because we're all aging. It's what we do, and you get more things, and there's just things you don't fucking know about and you don't plan for, and you sort of know peripherally, things are going to deteriorate, maybe my teeth are going to give me problems or whatever, but he can get this one fixed. But then now, of course, he's worried that all his teeth are going to eat themselves.
That's so strange. I think the wildest part is when you go at our age, you go to the doctor and you're like, oh, I've got a thing. And they're like, no, it's not that thing. It's this thing, which you've never heard
Right.
of and has this really weird name. And you're like, oh God. like,
Especially for someone like, especially for people like you and I who do deep research, and we
Yeah.
usually go to the doctor thinking we know what it
we
is.
know,
We're like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
either this or it's this. And they're like, no, it's this other thing
this.
you've never heard of. It's a floobitty-boop. And you're like, fuck, why'd I get that?
I don't need a floobity boop.
No one does.
No one does, Ellie.
It's not useful.
Hey, Ellie.
Yes, Julia.
Speaking of floobity doops.
Okay.
Guess who we have on the pod today?
She's a real floobity-doop,
She's a real
isn't she?
floobity doop, isn't she? No. Oh, Abby, forgive us. No, we don't even know. Floobity doop could be a very good thing. I'd love for
It
a doctor to
is.
be like, you don't have this, you have a floobity doop, and it is excellent.
It's going to change your life.
Your floobity doop is perfect just the way
That's
it
right.
is. I don't know where that just went. All right, I'm going to read her bio, though, so that everybody knows who she is, and I'm going to read real close to the screen like this because I'm blind. All
I'll do it
right.
with you.
Coming to you from Frankfurt, Germany, we have Abigail Paul, a dynamic performer and BBC Writers' Room Popcorn Award nominee, who Theatre Weekly said lights up a stage. Abigail's cerebral and confessional comedy style has graced renowned festivals and stages such as the Laugh Factory, Edinburgh Fringe, and the Leicester, Ellie? Leicester Comedy Festival. There we go. Her passion for languages and cultures endears her to audiences of all backgrounds, charming audiences from London to Barcelona. She is touring now with her upcoming solo show, Miscommunication, which premieres at Brighton Fringe in May of 2024. And we've known Abigail forever. You may remember her from Circling the Drain podcast. She is a delight to have on, and I'm really looking forward to talking to her because it's always a good time.
Always a good time.
Yeah.
Floobity-doop.
Floobity-doop.
Abigail Paul, we're so happy you're here.
Julia, Ellie, I couldn't be happier to be here.
Hi.
I love you guys.
Oh,
that's
so nice to hear.
You're floating in a black void and we're floating in pink voids, and we could be anywhere, but you're in Germany.
I am. Yes.
And we're not.
We're not.
All right, Abigail, we have a question for you.
Okay.
Abigail, what kind of patient are you?
The worst.
Explain. Say more.
Oh
Say
my
more.
gosh. I mean, I am the absolute worst patient. I think that is the theme for me and all patienthood that I've ever had throughout my medical history. Nobody wants me. I apologize to every doctor. I'm like, I'm so sorry this is about to happen to you. I once got a little piece of glass stuck in my foot and I kicked the doctor. Like I properly, and I said I was gonna, he was jabbing my foot and there was glass in it. So, I'm just, it's not
you
that
gave
I'm
him
not
a warning.
Yeah. It's not that I'm not polite about it. It's just that I am absolutely the worst.
So is this just like you, I just want one more sentence about this. Like,
Okay.
Are you a big baby?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
The world's worst baby.
Uh-huh.
And I think I didn't really have medical insurance growing up. I don't know about you guys, but it's pretty typical, because for young people, Americans, we just kind of wing it. Like, you'll probably be fine. And so I didn't really go to the doctor that much. So I built it up in my head, I had my first cavity like last year. I had I never got stung by a bee, things like that. I just didn't have a lot of medical things.
You didn't have reason to go.
Right. And then you build it up in your head. But like, even the very first thing I did was getting some sort of like what do you call those? Vaccination.
Yeah.
They're good. We love them. When I was really young.
What is it even?
Maybe they shot her there.
Did they shoot you in the wrist?
No. I was just trying to think of the word. I was recently
right
at an
here.
Airbnb. Okay, this is because I was recently at an Airbnb, and the woman tried to murder me with her apartment because the door handles were made out of razor blades. Very attractive, but
Wait.
like I can send you a picture. It was like super thin.
Wait,
like,
say that again. What was made out of?
The door handles in the apartment were all made out of this like really like design beautiful like but very thin kind of
metal?
razor blade. Yeah, metal. So
razor blade metal.
Yeah, so I had to wrap the thing in like my t-shirts to not stab myself.
Strangest thing I've ever heard.
Well, this is the other thing. I am a klutz, so that doesn't help my medical marvel problem.
Here's what I would ask for. If there is a picture of these doorknobs, I want.
Please. Yeah.
Okay. We'll post it. We'll post it. We'll post.
We can see how ridiculous these door handles were.
Because
was there anything in the reviews?
No, and I didn't even
No.
tell the woman, and I feel like that's kind of like I'm cheating on my own persona because my whole thing is like I'm not that nice. But I didn't have the heart to tell her, "Listen, you have fantastic taste, but your house is trying to get me."
But your doorknobs are trying to kill me,
Yeah, it was
ma'am.
really yeah. They
Wow.
needed to baby proof that apartment for me. And I think it's embarrassing because like no one else did post anything about it. So
Maybe
maybe
everyone's
she's bleeding
embarrassed.
everyone and we're all being nice about it,
Yeah,
but no one
yeah.
wants to say it on booking.
That's what
I
I
mean,
think. I mean, especially if there's like a big British population, then they're definitely not going to complain about it.
Right? The way they get drunk,
No,
they're
just
not going to survive those door handles.
I was going to say just the way that the politeness.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah, they're gonna tell you about the door handles, but they're not gonna tell the owner. They're not gonna mention it in the review.
oh,
I'm waiting.
everything was lovely. Just got a little bit of nouchy. It's all right. Don't mind me.
She
Have
does
fun.
provide in her bathroom like that medical what's that like
like
you know you put,
Neosporin.
yeah.
Ah,
Well, they don't that
yes,
kind of
not
stuff.
that because it's not here.
So that
Yeah.
could have been a clue.
Wow. That
I love this.
that took us in a whole. That was wow. But we're back. Yeah.
We're back.
Yeah.
And now let's hear the story that you came to tell us, which
Okay.
is beautifully titled A Tale of Two Cysts.
Yes. Well, we wanted to talk about like medical issues. And I
Uh-huh.
was thinking about like, if you guys recall, because you were not on this trip with me because you now live in New York, but when we were at University in Orlando, some friends of ours went on a big New York City trip. And it was like my first time going to the big city. You know what I mean? Like I love musicals and it was like a musical. You know, I was so excited, right? And we were 18 maybe, you know, we didn't have a lot of money.
yeah.
So like when you buy the ticket, it's not like you can just cancel something like that, you know. But I did notice right before we left for our big trip to the big city, we were going to see Rent the Musical for the first time. So that should date it perfectly.
Yeah.
It was still on Broadway originally.
And can I have to interject for
Please.
just a moment because I remember this time because
Yeah.
I was living with some of the people who went with you.
Correct.
And upon your return, Rent was forever ruined for me because you all just sang it incessantly all the time to the extent that I never, ever wanted to see the show. I was just like, I can't stand this show.
And I will
That's fair.
add for the
Yeah.
listeners that I lived with Abigail at the time, and
Yeah.
I didn't know how to drive, nor do I still know how to drive. So I was at her mercy to drive me to and from our classes at university every day. And Abigail blasted Rent every day
This
to and
sounds
from
right.
school
Yep.
and sang it at the top of her lungs. And your singing is lovely, but Rent did get it got tired. It got
I got
tired.
tired.
And
Well,
then
you know.
recently my son got into it and I was having
Oh.
PTSD when my like 9-year-old was screaming it from his bedroom. I was like, yeah, but it's back.
It's
Anyway,
back. It's back.
It was very La Vie Boheme. There was nothing we could do.
Yeah.
It was an anthem. You know, it had but you know, karma got me, I think, because I went to the trip so excited, but I noticed before we left there was something like wrong or off, and I dealt with it by ignoring it
Obviously. Yeah.
completely. I
Yeah.
mean, and then I sat on a plane for what was not that long, maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours from Florida to New York, I guess. But then you have to walk in New York City, and I had never done that before because, as you all know, we lived in Florida, right? So you don't walk in Florida,
No.
right? Even if you don't drive, Ellie, you still have someone drive you. You can't walk.
no,
If you
no
walk,
walking.
I remember coming back from Europe once, and I was walking on the street, and someone thought I was a whore because that's
Right.
just how we are in Florida. Nobody
That's
walks.
right.
So
Nobody walks.
you go to New York, and I've sat on that plane for a while, and then we were all the way up at our friend's apartment, and I want to say it was Washington Heights. It was a good old walk down to other things. And I slowly but surely noticed that I could no longer walk because I was in intense and serious pain. And it was so bad that I decided that, well, I think everyone else decided for me that I was going to have to stop complaining. And so they.
I thought you were going to say everyone decided for you that you needed medical attention.
No.
But they
They were like,
decided for
"Shut
you
the
that you needed
fuck up.
It was
Shut the fuck up." Yeah.
It
You're
was a lot, right?
ruining La Vie
And there was-
Boheme.
It was their big trip to the big city too, right? Like, so
Yeah.
I felt horrendously guilty for ruining it, that I hadn't sort of noticed there was a problem before I left. And then, you know, I tried to like not have it, and then it was too bad. So yeah, so we took me off to the hospital, and I don't know what the situation is now in New York, but to walk into a New York City emergency room at that time, what would that have been, 1997-ish? Something
Sure.
like
Yeah.
that?
That sounds
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. I had to put $2,000 down on my credit card just to walk in, just to be like, hi, let me fill out the paperwork. I don't know. Are your faces shocked by that?
Yeah.
I was,
I don't remember.
Yeah.
yeah, I
Well,
didn't have health insurance.
Because you didn't have
remember?
health.
Right.
Yeah, because you didn't have
Right.
health insurance. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And there was no hope I was going to get that money back, but also I couldn't walk anymore. So like I parted ways with my money. That was not to be treated, by the way. That wasn't going to include any treatment. I was like, here I am, please help me. So I went, and again, all my friends should have been out walking around the city and eating whatever it is in the Big Apple. I don't know, and I just was
Street
ruining it.
meat,
Yeah, having street
water
meat,
dogs.
Yeah. But instead we were all in the New York City emergency room. It was Columbia, and there was like no visible roof. It was like terrible. It's a
Oh,
terrible
I've been
time. Very, very big bummer.
No pun intended.
Yeah. And then I got my very first doctor, probably not my first doctor, but one of my first doctors, because I hadn't had issues really or been to doctors, and he was so hot. And I found
Of
that
course.
extremely
Wait,
unpleasant.
there's a pattern here with you and like hot doctors.
Oh
Have
yeah,
you
my other
noticed?
doctor. Yeah, I've had a lot of hot doctors, but this was my first one.
Oh, your
And
first one.
it was on my ass, the problem, right?
Yeah, I was about to say you should probably tell everyone where the cyst.
Right.
Yeah, well, the reason I couldn't
sorry.
walk was because I didn't know at that time.
Yeah.
Because it was behind me, and I just knew that I couldn't walk anymore. So anyway, he looked at it and my butt, and he said that and my girlfriend was with me, and she was also very young and attractive, and I noticed that as he was looking at my butt, they were kind of making eyes at each other. And then he went out to like go do a procedural problem or something, or like check on something else. And I was like, girl, you are dating and I am dying. That's not cool. Anyway, it turned out to be a pilonidal cyst, and there's nothing you can do. But oh no.
And this is a cyst, if I recall, this is like sort of at the very like the top above the crack of your ass, right? It's
Yeah,
like
it's
the
at the
base of your
tailbone.
spine. It's like
Yeah.
a coccyx
Yeah.
kind
I
of a
think
spot.
if I'm honest, he must have done something, because I was able to walk after this. So he treated it somehow.
Yeah.
And then it turned out that I just had to. And to this day, I take so many baths because I just have to always I don't think it ever really kind of goes away. If you had them, you could get another one. So I just have to keep it incredibly clean and like make sure that nothing bad ever happens to your butt crack. I don't know what I'd done to my butt crack to get it in this condition, but it's all fixed now. And we
the Germans are like, just take a sitz bath. You just sitz bath.
No, this
right?
was America. This was all in America.
No,
so...
but they say it here too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that was my first like major cyst. And then you guys know I moved to Germany in 2001. And for no better reason than I just thought it would be fun. Germany, take that in. So
I just thought it'd be fun.
And but what it turns out is like human rights are super fun. I love them. They're
Same.
really, really good. Health insurance being the number one human right that I'm in love with, because now it was this freedom to like have as many cysts as I want. And so I guess my body was like
up,
just ready to get on board with the cysts.
Yeah.
So I don't remember like how I had the bravery to have a gynecologist appointment. I don't know, but I did. And I went to my first gynecologist appointment in Germany, and they were so chill about this. They just, they do the ultrasound bit, and the female doctor immediately detected that I had an ovarian cyst, right? Which sounds serious, but it's really just like a pimple, right? It's a pimple on your uterus. It's not a huge deal. And she was very
common, and they're typically on your ovaries, not on your uterus.
Oh yeah, that's correct. Correct.
Yes,
It was like an ovarian cyst, right?
Yeah.
It was like in that general area.
It's all, it's there.
Yeah. Connected. Yeah.
Sure.
And what killed me though was she was just like, okay, so we found this cyst, and so we can probably get you into the hospital on Thursday. I was like, hospital? Like, I just started seeing a doctor, and she wants me to go get a surgery. And I was like,
go get a surgery.
No. So I panicked, I cried, and I left. And I didn't go back for a really long time because chicken.
Like to ignore.
Because denial.
So good. It's my favorite game.
Is it really long time? You didn't go back for a really long time, like a few weeks or like months or years?
I can't remember. But what I do know is that I switched health insurance in the meantime.
Okay.
And because I kind of changed jobs and I wound up having to take a private health insurance, which is actually really rare here. People don't usually, this is going to become important later, but people don't usually get private insurance, but I had to do some freelance work and therefore I had to do only like the private insurance.
Okay.
And in Germany, it's hard to get, and it's also much better, just like in everywhere, you know, like the private insurance, you get like the best stuff and whatever. And so I was too embarrassed to go back to that doctor. So I wound up crying, and a friend of mine helped me find another doctor. Because, you know, when you move to a country like Germany, you're not very functional because I couldn't speak the language.
Yeah. Yeah.
So someone else had to help me out. And I don't remember, was it like the guilt or the shame? But finally I was like, I think I have to go see a gynecologist. Boo-hoo, will you help me? She got me an appointment. And this is how I met Dr. Mueller, who we know as my very hot German gynecologist, who is also a psychiatrist.
He's the John Hamm adjacent
Yes.
doctor.
Dr. Mueller. And what you may not have realized, because you don't live here, is that Dr. Mueller was on a street called Kaiserstrasse, which is famously also a red light district.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And there is also on that same street, Dr. Mueller's Blue Kino, which I think is international. We all get what that is, right?
Blue Kino?
Blue Kino. We don't get that? Okay.
No.
Blue Kino is like it's a whorehouse.
Okay. All right.
Shop.
Kino here is a gambling
it's
game.
A brothel.
Oh. A Kino, like in a lot of places, is the cinema. So Blue Kino is like
A brothel. A brothel.
Right.
A dirty cinema.
It's a dirty cinema. Correct. It's a dirty cinema. So I think, I haven't been inside, me personally, but I think it's like a sex shop, a dirty cinema, and there's like a brothel on the back, right?
Okay.
But I do remember
it's a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Love it.
I just remember telling my friend June here in Germany, I said, you know, I think I found a really good gynecologist, and if you want to go, you should make an appointment. So she just looked it up on the phone book back then, and she looked up, you know, Dr. Mueller on the Kaiserstrasse, and she called Dr. Mueller's Blue Kino to make an appointment for her gynecologist appointment. They were like, nope.
Wrong place.
Wrong place. It's not. Nope. She was like, no, I want to make an appointment with you. And they were like, no, you don't. No, you really don't. So anyway, Dr. Mueller, I went there, and I had to explain to him that I was the worst. I put it out in no uncertain terms. I was like, I want you to understand what I do. I run away. I cry. I can't handle this. They
told me I kick you.
Yeah, I might kick you. They told me I had to have surgery. That was very rude. I can't. And he was like, I understand. Very, you know, I told you he's a psychiatrist. So he did some Jedi shit on me.
Yeah.
So I would keep coming back. And he was like, Frau Paul, we're just going to watch it. And I was like, okay, that sounds good. I'm into that. Let's watch the cyst.
Watch it.
I don't want to deal with this. I just want to watch it. But then I think another full year went by, and we were watching it get bigger and worse. And he was like, it is now time to remove the cyst.
Like we've moved out of the watching stage, and we are now in the doing stage.
Right. But I think emotionally I had adjusted to the reality that I was likely going to have this surgery. And it was a keyhole surgery.
So it was like laparoscopic. It wasn't
right.
Yeah. Not major. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a Kino surgery.
No.
Not a Kino.
No.
Keyhole. So like he was really good at reassuring me. I was like, there's several hospitals in the area, and he was like, I'm sending you to this hospital. This is where my wife went to the hospital. Like, this is the hospital you're going to. So I felt quite reassured. He understood my needs. And I wound up at the hospital where you have to start the whole process again with new people. You know, Dr. Mueller's not there anymore. And you have to go to the pre-op stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so my pre-op doctor just comes around, you know, asks you some standard questions, and then she whips out this giant binder. Germans love a binder. If they can file it, whoa, they love it. So, and she just opens the big binder, and she's like, so this is what's going to happen. And she starts flipping through the binder with fucking pictures of the surgery, of the insides, of what like they're going to do to me. And I was like, do you want me to go through with? Are you crazy?
Like, shut that binder.
I shut that binder. I didn't throw it, but I really was like, why would you do this? And she was
no binder.
Nobody. She was so surprised though. She said, oh, I'm so sorry. It's just German women. They want to know.
I want to know. I would be appreciative. I'd be like, show me all of the things.
Well, that's the thing. I wondered if, again, because I'm a big giant fucking baby, am I the crazy person? Because
Sorry, were they illustrations or photographs of previous surgeries?
It was like all of the above, it was
Okay.
diagrams, bullet
Okay.
points,
Mixed.
pictures, all in, I'm sure it's all done on an iPad now, but this was, back in the day and it was
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
in a
yeah.
fucking
Finder.
binder.
Yeah.
And like, that's the question I have is, yes, I'm a baby. We all know that. But like, do people really want to know what they're going to do to you?
Well, look,
Julia, you would obviously want to know.
I do.
I like to know, but visuals are not my thing. Like just a quick digression. Julia
Yeah.
knows this. When I was giving birth, the doctor asked me, she said, it's helpful if we wheel up a big mirror and you can like take a look and like make a visual connection between what's going on. I was like, I don't really think I need that. Like I have a good mind body connection. I'm good. She was like, some people just really like this. Like, let's just try it. She wheels up a giant mirror. I sit up and I look and I see all the business in a very beautiful state. And I take one look at it and I was like, I'm good. Take it away and like get rid of the mirror. So I want to know, but I don't need to see. Like even on TV, if they're showing surgery, even if it's like it's clearly fake, not even a real surgery, like dramatized surgery, I have to look away. I don't like it. So I can
Yeah.
understand wanting to hear what's going to happen. Maybe you don't want
No,
to
I
hear it
didn't.
or
No,
see it.
I
You
wanted to
wanna
go to
know.
bed.
Abigail doesn't want any of it.
She wants
Nope.
magic. Magic.
The anesthesiologist was like, listen, by law, I have to tell you what's going to happen to you. And I was like, I'm going to sign that document that says you told me what you're going to do to me and you're not going to tell me because otherwise this isn't happening. Because I can't hear about it. I don't
No.
want to know about it. I'm very like, no.
You
Just
want
do
a
it.
magician and you want like David Blaine to make Frau Cyst disappear.
Correct.
Got it.
And again, once you get into the hospital, then they're they have to do all these exams, and I was worried like they were going to be like ragging on me for my weight or whatever, because I felt like American doctors might do that. And then I remember like at the pre-op, all that kind of the procedures, and I remember this German doctor said to me, he was like, Frau Paul, it is more, but it is not too much. And I
Oh,
was like,
how
yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I feel like that like
I
made me
like
feel like
that.
a proper supermodel.
Put it
Yeah.
on a fucking t-shirt,
It's
man.
more, but it is not too much.
It is more, but it is not too much.
It's that gentle balance the Germans have. I joke about them being overly honest, but that was kind of him. And the other thing they kept doing is they kept saying like because it was on my ovary, yes, correct, and they were like, sie hat noch Kinderwunsch. She has, I can't say it in English so well, noch meaning she has more or another, Kinderwunsch, clear, yeah, wish for children, right? So it was like they kept like saying like, we don't want to
Remove the
be
cyst,
careful,
or we don't want to remove the ovary because she hasn't had children.
Yeah, and I was really young, and I was like, I remember, so Ellie, remember the first time you told me you wanted to have kids? I thought you were kidding.
Right.
I didn't know that people really wanted to have kids, but we all
Like, people do that on purpose?
It's like, I don't really want to have kids. I'm just like, I want to keep my ovary.
Yeah.
Like I didn't, and I
want to do anything with it.
No, and it was really irritating to me after like 15 Germans were like, sie hat noch Kinderwunsch. And I was like, or maybe she just likes her ovary. Leave her Kinderwunsch out of all this. But like, I'm very careful about my Kinderwunsch. And then I had the laparoscopic surgery, and again they in order to make space in there, which I gave them a good canvas, kids, but they have to blow up your whole belly full of air in order to get in there with their little robots and tools or whatever. And what and they were not wrong. Like once you recover, like once you wake up from everything, it's not that bad. But what the bad part was the gas that they put inside of you. It's not like your gas, but like
they fill you with air.
They feel you, it was horrendous. That was the worst part. I couldn't fart. I couldn't get it out. There was no belching. I was just like, I would fart on anyone right now to get this shit out of me. Get this out of me.
What you needed was the doorknob from the Airbnb to just stab it and just like let all the air out like a balloon.
Yeah.
Oh.
So they told me before I went in, oh, there was an important thing. Like when I told you I switched doctors, but I also switched health insurance, and I went to the private health insurance. And when I signed up for that insurance, they ask you again questions. They sent a lady to my house and we went through the whole questionnaire, and she did it all in English because I couldn't speak German well enough at that time. And she asked me the question in English. She said, what's your name and address and blah, blah, blah. And do you have any diseases? And I answered no, because for me, a disease is like cancer, Crohn's disease, something that you've been diagnosed with. So I honestly answered the question no. But later when I learned German better, I figured out what she probably meant was, do you have any illnesses? Right? So
Oh,
an ovarian cyst would technically be
an
in the
illness.
range of what she
Yeah.
was.
A
Yeah.
pre-existing condition.
Mhm,
Yes.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
I believe that's what she wanted to ask, but I answered the question honestly at the time as asked. I did
Yeah.
not have any diseases. So anyway, I was in the hospital, and they said it would take 4 days, but it wound up taking 6. It was just like a couple extra days for everything to be like extra good. But also because I was on the private insurance, you get to see the Oberarzt, which is the top doctor. Oh, they call him
Ooh.
the chef arts because chef means boss. So the boss doctor was coming in to check on my Kinderwunsch, and I was getting like all the best treatment, right? Because I had that private insurance. And like I said, very few people have it here. It's like
Mhm.
either freelancers or the top 10%, right?
Yeah.
So they treat you well. I had a private room, like everything, shishi. But I got the 2 extra days, and then I went straight back to work on the Monday after like I had my 6 days in hospital, and then I went back to work on Monday. And the next time I saw Dr. Mueller, I told him that, and he was like shocked. He was like, "You did what?" Because he expected me to come in asking for like a sick paper or whatever.
Mhm.
I don't know how you call it in English, but like a proof
A
that you were
doctor's note. A doctor's
doctor's
note
note.
is what we
Thank
would
you.
call it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I didn't because I went, like I just wanted to go back to work and earn money because I'm American. That's what we do. And he was like, "Frau Powell, in this respect, you are very brave. No German would ever do this." Go back to work after being
No
in
German would
hospital.
ever go back to work after being in the hospital. That's
I was
crazy.
thinking of all the women who go back to work at 5 minutes after being pregnant. I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
this is what
Yeah.
we do. Like we
We don't have a lot of choices.
we don't have a lot of choices. So and I was freelancing at the time, so I was like, I need to make money.
I gotta earn money, man.
I'm gonna go teach those dangling participles to those Germans because I gotta make money. I was teaching English. It's a real shit job, but that's what I could do at the beginning. So that's what I did. And yeah, so then I was like really, I started to like really ruminate about this
Mm.
do you have diseases question. And I started getting like more and more paranoid about this idea that maybe I was gonna have to pay for this surgery, right? I mean, 6
Oh,
days over
PTSD,
arts.
PTSD. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was kind of freaking out. And the way that normal insurance in Germany works for the public, you would never see a bill. You don't know what anything costs. You just give them your card. You occasionally, like, I think if you take an ambulance, it's like 10 euros or 15
Mm.
euros or some like little extra fee or something.
Mhm.
There are certainly things not covered, but in general, you don't see how much anything costs. But in the private insurance, the way it always works is the patient gets the bill and they send the bill on to the health insurance company to be paid. Sometimes they will even like if it's a small bill like a doctor's visit, you pay for it yourself and then they
Mhm.
reimburse you. But with surgery, they just send you the bill so you have a copy of it. So I got the bill and I was like sweating about opening this letter, and then I opened it. Do you know what 6 days of the Oberarzt protecting my Kinderwunsch costs in Germany?
So
Can you guess for me? Because I would be very curious what you
$35,000.
Are
Ellie,
you waiting for me to guess?
yeah.
I feel like it's going to be the opposite. I feel like it's going to be super low, shocking on the super low end. So like $100.
No, you're both wrong in the extremes.
Okay,
But
great. I was just trying. I don't know. Yeah.
yeah, but your instincts were right because it was
Mhm.
$2,360.
Yeah, that
Which
would be
is,
like a $50,000, $100,000 or more. I don't even know,
yeah.
like hundreds. Yeah.
In the
If I
US,
would have
at the
to pay
hospital,
that,
that's a few Advil, like at a hospital,
Yeah.
right.
Like they
Yeah.
bill you ridiculous for ridiculous, stupid shit. Yes.
So I remember thinking like I could pay that. Like it would
Yeah.
take me a
Yeah.
minute to make that money, but I could pay that.
Right.
Like, and
If
then
you had to.
If you
if
had
I'd
to.
If
had
you
to,
had to. Yeah.
yeah.
But you
I hope I
didn't.
didn't get her fired.
Oh. Do you have diseases?
Do you have
No.
diseases is not how you ask that question, insurance adjuster.
Oh
We're all
well.
learning.
You got away with it, Abby, all these years.
I did. I got away with it. So that's my tale of 2 cysts.
I
Just
love
watch.
talking about these things because it just always makes me feel like we're all the prettiest princesses. You know?
In what way? Like
Just
because I have
like,
it?
I mean, the things we're all humans, and like, especially as women, we're like trying to, I don't know, maintain some sort of
like we don't pee and poop and nothing gross happens with our bodies, but we are the grossest.
like the things that grow on us and in us and what you have to do to them and how just
And the things that come
disgusting.
out of us.
Right. All of it.
Yeah.
All of it. All of
Pretty,
it.
Yeah.
pretty princesses.
Yes.
That's the title of this episode. Pretty,
Pretty princesses.
Yeah.
The detail, I've known the perineal cyst story for a long time, and the detail Abigail didn't share that was my favorite from the story at the time was in the moment where our friends who were with her were wanting her to shut the fuck up. She was with some very tall friends, and these very tall friends had a long stride, and not only were walking all the hell over New York City, which is what you do, but were walking briskly. And one very tall, lovely friend in particular said the phrase, "Step it up." And I've never forgotten.
I know exactly. I know who that
Yes,
was.
that in your pain and discomfort and whining for a very good reason, you were told to step it up, and you were like, "Step it up!" Like I
Yeah.
can't. Like you don't even understand. It was like, "Come on, step it up."
Those
Yeah.
were those were the days.
Yeah.
Those
No,
were the
and I
days.
haven't mentioned names, not because, for any other reason than it's, they're not here to approve me telling the story.
Sure.
But I
Yeah.
forgot the funny detail of Step It Up. Yeah. Because I think I was probably trying to play it down. So I didn't,
for
it
sure.
wasn't the bummer. But then I think probably she said stepping up, and there's a good chance I cried a lot. And then
Sure.
everyone
That
was
sounds
like,
right.
let's take you to the hospital.
Yeah. Step it up to the
That was
That
the
just,
hospital.
breaking
that
point.
wasn't on my go to New York bingo card.
I
No.
know. I mean, I do remember from the pictures and the time and seeing Rent. Once we got, past
After
the
that.
hospital part, yeah, we were great. We had a really good time.
Yes.
Yes.
I was jealous. It sounded like you had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
me
was
too.
fun. Everything after
Yeah.
that was fun. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing
Yeah.
a tale
Oh,
of
you're
two
welcome.
cysts.
This was good.
Please
Fun.
tell our listeners where they can find your work on the internet or anywhere.
Or anywhere.
Okay. Yes, I'm mostly a live performer, but bitches got to make content because
Yeah.
it's 2024 and
Mhm.
you can't
True.
just be a performer
Nope.
in a room and tell jokes. So I am to my great disdain going to be stepping up my social media game, and I would come to you guys for maybe some tips on that. But anywhere on the Twitters, the socials, the things, you can find me at Abby for Laughs. And it turns out you
That's
can
the
spell
number
Abby
4. That's
yeah,
the number
exactly.
4.
Abby, ABBY, because every other spelling is weird. 4 Laughs.
Got
And we'll
it.
put it in the
All of
show
it.
notes also.
Thank
but
you.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. This was great. It's always been spending time with you and hanging out.
Yeah, I love it too.
Step it up.
Well, thank you guys
Yeah.
for having me.